Nobody in their right minds. Honestly, I don't care what kind of fancy name you put on this, the Guardian program, the Avengers program, it doesn't matter what you call it. Putting a gun, putting more weapons into a school is not going to solve the problem. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and get into the next video. So with this one here, it never ceases to amaze me that people are just lost. And when I say that, I'm not just meaning like in trying to figure out their lives or anything like that. But when it comes to solutions to something that's on a grander scale, something that just doesn't affect one or two people, this affects everybody in this country. It just confuses me on how somebody will look at a situation and come up with something that is not even reasonable, not even a reasonable response to a tragic situation like with gun violence. I don't understand why people take a situation like that and with all their power, with all their connections and networks to smart people and people who can really figure some things out, they still fail to understand the problem and come up with a reasonable solution. Let's go ahead and get into the video.
Shooting that killed 19. Texas done did it. School officials can now carry guns inside of the local school system. Let's go ahead and get it. Put up the picture full mass of the erudite board who made this decision. This is in Keller, Texas. A school district board meeting approved a policy that would allow staff members to be armed on campus. On December 12th, the Keller Independent School District met to discuss their Guardian program, a program meant to defend against an active shooter until police arrive. This comes in the wake of the May 24th Uvalde shooting that killed 19 children and 2 adults at Robb Elementary. Now, what they're saying is if a teacher would have been armed during that Uvalde shooting, all of those children would not have been shot.
Really?
Well, let's analyze the data.
Go for it.
The police who were armed and trained and had protective gear, they failed. They did not execute their duties properly. So you're telling me that all of a sudden a school teacher is going to become Rambo?
Okay, hey, Dr. Ricci, I appreciate that, but I think I got the rest of this. All right, so why do we feel, and just to complete Mr. Dr. Ricci's point here, trained professionals, as good or bad or whatever the case is, as training as these police officers had, okay? They had the gear, they had the fancy radios, the fancy bulletproof vests and the shields and the machine guns and the tanks and the airplane. They have plenty of tools to get jobs like this done. They wear the badge every single day knowing that something like this could happen, and they still failed. Not they failed like they, lost some casualties going straight into action, trying to get rid of the threat that was in that school. No, they were scared. They were scared human beings who didn't want to put their life on the line. That was the problem. It wasn't the training. It wasn't the more funding for the police. It was they were regular human beings who did not want to fulfill their duties as police officers, which is to protect and serve. They didn't do that. So why, with everybody's geniuses that made this decision, why do you feel giving guns to teachers is going to be the solution? Now, it doesn't take a genius to figure this out. I've been in public schools, from first grade all the way to 12th. Nobody in their right minds, honestly, I don't care what kind of fancy name you put on this, the Guardian program, the Avengers program, it doesn't matter what you call it. Putting a gun, putting more weapons into a school is not going to solve the problem. First off, teachers are underpaid. They're stressed out dealing with other kids that are not theirs. They're overworked. And they have personal lives too. Now, what do you think putting a gun into one of these untrained emotionally, untrained mentally type of people, what do you think is going to happen? We already seen stories of teachers locking students in closets. We've seen stories of teachers yelling and yelling out racial slurs to students. What do you think is going to happen if that teacher has a weapon in their drawer, in their cabinet? Or what happens if one of these students get a hold of that gun? Why as we Americans feel that the solution to a fire is more fire? This is not no Rambo movie. This is not no Terminator movie. This is not a movie. This is real life. These teachers are not going to like all of a sudden become like James Bond or in 007 and you know, peek around corners and go through the vents and like, no. They're teachers. They're underpaid teachers. They probably don't even want to be there. But now you're giving them more harsher responsibility. Only in America. Only in America. So let me know. Cause maybe I'm the one tripping. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe it's just in my head that I feel that putting more guns to stop gun violence is going to stop gun violence. Maybe that's just me. All right, let's go to the next one.